Welcome to Follow the Content Leaders, a podcast where we want to learn how leaders, entrepreneurs, CEOs, coaches, and consultants have built their businesses and exactly what role has content played in their strategies. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to one episode of Follow the Content Leaders podcast. And good morning, Patrick. Welcome.
Thank you, Monica. Good morning to you.
Patrick Brennan is the founder of DNL Collective, which is a premium self-service laundry offering retail destinations that enhances shoppers' experiences in the brick-and-mortar retail sector. So, good morning, Patrick. Once again, tell us a bit more about what is it that you do in the DNL Collective and how have you built this business?
Okay. Morning, everybody. Good morning, Monica, again. Dana Collective was originally not necessarily established as a laundry company, but it was established as a need for making facilities that were available at large retail destinations useful and beneficial to the shoppers, beneficial to the landlords, stroke retailers to drive footfall, etc. And from my background that I had previously been in, I looked at all different options that these potential spaces, whether it be spare spaces in car parks or units that were not being used, how they could be utilized in a way that was environmentally friendly, that it was something convenient to the shoppers, a service that was required, and after much research and I suppose due diligence and different things, and I had the background in self-service laundry, as well as other things that automated vending within the retail sector, and the laundry sector was the sector that I felt needed something different, needed something better than was being provided in the marketplace currently, in better locations, and more convenient locations where people could park cars and do other things while their laundry was done. And that really was when the NL Collective said, right, we're actually going to focus on the laundry sector. And we're going to focus on delivering the best laundry services that the market has ever seen. And that brought us to our partnership with Alliance Laundry Systems from the US and Speed Queen, their brand. And now we are exclusive distributors of the Speed Queen licensed stores throughout the UK and Ireland, which means that we both distribute to people who want to open stores, but we also own and operate our own stores ourselves.
Interesting. And then how long did it take you to make this pivot from maybe what you were doing before to focusing 100% into the laundry sector?
The pandemic helped that process because I started the whole journey of this probably back 6 years ago, 5 years ago, looking for something to do myself. I felt I had one last rodeo in me, and I was looking for opportunities within the self-service marketplace, the automated marketplace, and very quickly, as I said, I realized that laundry was a space that that had an opportunity to slightly disrupt what was currently out there in terms of the service offering. But it definitely, because if you add the pandemic in, during the pandemic, I was at the close to that stage of saying laundry is it, and it's all, and may do other things. But then the pandemic meant that my conversations 100% focused on laundry, which was a good thing, because the conversation had already started with Alliance Laundry Systems pre-pandemic, and then that was a lengthy conversation for nearly 2 years where one couldn't get on an airplane or couldn't do anything. But it gave me 2 years of focused research and negotiating both with my distributor, as in Alliance Laundry Systems, and with landlords, and specifically at that time with Tesco, who we did a deal with to open 22 stores very quickly, straight after we came out of lockdown.
Interesting. And what is the premium part of the service you provide, right? You said that you provide
Yeah,
a laundry service that no one has ever seen before. That catched my attention. So, what does that
yeah.
consist of?
So I would say there's a few premium parts if you compare it to what the consumer was used to. So we have very, very comfortable locations. We have leather couches in our stores. Our stores are constantly being cleaned, as opposed to just being left alone for maybe a few days. We work very closely with our landlords to ensure that we get economies of scale, to ensure that we can have our stores cleaned literally every hour if needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we also have a complete unique value proposition in our sustainability and environmental friendly offering. So we don't use hot water; we ozonize the water, which means we're using less energy. Um, we don't we use a heat exchange system in our dryers, which also decreases the amount of energy required by
Mm-hmm.
40%. And because of the system that we use in terms of our detergents and softeners, which are automatically pumped into the machines during the wash cycle, so customers don't have to bring their own detergents or softeners. And with that technology, we use 40% less water. Um,
Mm-hmm.
what I probably see the biggest impact to a consumer who uses it for the first time, and I call it our secret sauce, is the softener and detergents that we use not only do a really good job cleaning the clothes, but because it's the systems that we use, the fibers open up on the garment without damaging them. It gets inside the fibers to get the dirt out. Um, but at the same time, it leaves a really very nice natural fragrance within the garment that doesn't just stay there for the day that it's washed. It's actually will be in your linen or your bedclothes for a week, and it's a and that's the bit our customers come back for.
Mm-hmm. I get that. Yeah, absolutely. Good that you're doing everything to make an environmental impact to the minimum. And I also kind of imagined very clearly the comfortableness of a leather chair, because it's true that anytime you go to a laundry place, you have those plastic chairs that they are not comfortable to spend an hour in. So I can get that making the experience much more premium.
Yes.
And yes, so now moving a bit more into the content side of things and how you've used content to build your business, maybe this one or something you've built in the past. Did you use content to attract clients to the services, or what role has content played?
Yeah, well, I suppose the whole digital social media channels have actually they have built this business. I mean, actually, from day one, my connection with the CEO of Alliance Laundry Systems was through LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was a random message that I sent when I thought, okay, I want to work with the best in the business. Um, I want to have the best equipment, the best technology. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we're best to go down to the CEO of this multi-billion-dollar company in the US. And thankfully, he's the type of individual who responded. So the journey started with social media business network. And then throughout, I've always been a great believer in. I mean, my background is marketing, so and I've used every channel in marketing over the years, and I've experimented in this business with traditional print, with um, with direct mail, with newspaper ads, and now all I do is content on digital social channels. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's all that drives all our traffic, both from finding sites, as in new landlords, and the end user coming into our stores. So again, I find that when I first went to meet some very large landlords and say, we'd like to open a self-service laundry store at your location, their instant
Mm-hmm.
reaction is no. They're not attractive. People don't use them anymore, and it's not really the look we're looking for. But then, as I started to show them what we've done and engage with them and demonstrate how we'd already opened 22 and they were with a very large retailer landlord who was very happy with them, they then started to see a little bit more sense in what I was looking for. Now, through my content, through again, I suppose from a business to business point of view, is in finding sites all through LinkedIn. I now have people coming to me say, "I think I have a great site for you." Um,
Mm-hmm.
I have people coming to me regularly saying, "I'd like to open a Speed Queen store because I've seen what you've done." So from that B2B type of content, it's the bread and butter of finding sites or finding people to open stores. From the end user, business to consumer, it's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. All of our marketing is done through those channels.
Interesting, right? It's the perfect definition of the content marketing at the end of the day. What you described, the
Totally.
beginning where they say no and then they kind of get convinced by everything that you've built before. It's the content marketing at its top.
In every sense, and I would say if there's, in terms of value for money as well and return on investment for that content marketing, you and coming from a marketing background, you couldn't match it. You couldn't, in 20 years ago when I had a marketing business, to do what I had done would have cost me 40 times more.
Yeah. And now you can just do it for free because you can post content for free in all of these platforms that then allow you to use it to prove your competence.
Absolutely. I mean, we assign a very small budget per store to, I suppose, to build up our community, and
Mm-hmm.
finding them within close, proximity of that store. And there's a small cost for that. But then once we have our community, content is free, as you said, and we are constantly producing, from inf- uh, informative videos, fun videos, informative messages. And it's just, every day we have a new piece of content that goes out there.
Interesting. And are you creating all of this content internally or do you externalize this production?
We would create, I would say, 80% of it internally.
Mm-hmm.
Utilize resources from this Alliance Laundry and Speed Queen, I suppose, global marketing team for certain things that they will have. But we will do 80% ourselves through a specialized team that we have. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
that is, so my biggest non-direct spend for running my business is my content team, and it's not just content for finding new customers; it's content for keeping our existing customers satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about communication; it's about information and education.
Mm-hmm.
How to use our stores, how to get the most out of our machines, how to make sure that if you have a stubborn stain in a garment, how to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
we do that 80% of that internally, and then we will use there's certain videos and things where we know we don't have the expertise in house to do, and we will outsource that to I suppose a content creator.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of our listeners are content creators or people who belong to the content industry. So I always like to ask this question too, in terms of the specialized team you have or the persons that you externalize these services to. What do you think is the qualities that they need to have in order to create good content and content that works?
Okay, great question. And it's something, as I said, since I'm trying to think how long ago I started my first business, which was in the old content creation. This was before. This was even before my first marketing business. I didn't even have an email address. So the content that we were creating 30 years ago is so different than the content we create
Of
today. But the
course.
but the process and the answer to that question, Monica, is the exact same as 30
Mm-hmm.
years ago as it is today. That they, first of all, that they understand my business and that they
Mm-hmm.
understand my customers and they understand my unique value proposition. And to me, that is so, so important that they're not. I've seen too many times where, say, content providers have gone out there and, how would I say, created what they think will look good, over decorated the cake, as I often say it, and not focused on. I always say, sell the sizzle, not the sausage. Okay, so what's the sizzle in what I'm providing, and when a content provider gets that, then I actually think the rest of the journey is easy because it doesn't have to be the most amazing design ever. It doesn't have to be, a production that costs tens of thousands as opposed to thousands. But
Mm-hmm.
it's the message that delivers, and if they can deliver that for me, that then I'm happy. And sometimes they might get the design slightly wrong or the creative slightly wrong, and sometimes that can be as well quality in, quality out. I give a bad brief, um, but ultimately, if they get what we're trying to deliver, and what our customers need, then I think they pretty much will come up with with something that will work, and then you tweak it to however way you need to tweak it, to get the final result.
Yeah, I love because every time I ask this question, no one ever replies to me that they are a good writer or that they are a good designer, but rather what you just said, right? Understanding the business, what your clients need, um, etc. And then also because I'm curious, you started creating content so long ago, and you're still creating content now. What would you say maybe it's the thing that has changed the industry the most, or that has changed how we produce content the most, besides I would say.
Yeah, well, AI is the big one right now. Obviously, I would, to me, to be honest with you, I think video.
Mm-hmm.
I think that. So if I go back 15 years ago, the content that I was creating for whether no matter what media I was using, whether it be a newspaper, a mailer, a banner, whatever it might
Mm-hmm.
be, um, even a website, which was the digital side, or an email, marketing piece. It was still a very similar message you were trying to get out there. You were just delivering it through a different, as I said, platform. As I said, whether
Mm-hmm.
traditional print, a billboard, whatever. Obviously, if you're going to the extent of going to TV, it was obviously video, but it was a huge expense to do that. So most people weren't doing that. And if they were going, so I think now the biggest thing is being able to create video, cost effectively, efficiently, and deliver it through channels. So dot channels are obviously, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, etc., LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
So we now have a channel to deliver video effectively, efficiently, and to create. So I think video will be the biggest thing.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, it's a complete different way of creating content and generating it. And the trust you can build through a video, it's really hard to build it through text, or it will take you three times longer. So video, that I think that's the reason behind it being so transformative in the industry. And then diving deep into video content, what would you say are the most type of effective videos, or which videos have you seen work best in general?
Okay, I think if I answer that in general before I answer for my own business, I would say quick to the point, keep me interested. Obviously the first 3-4 seconds are key,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then and it's not just that video, but if that video is coming from a particular source, what happens in the next 30 seconds will decide whether I watch their next video. Okay. And to me, that's key because if we produce at least one video every week.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's going out to the same audience, if those videos don't have an interesting, fun, informative, something back, so forget about what it does for your brand. Is the viewer getting something for them? Are they getting a smile, a laugh, or information that they see valuable to their day? And if they don't get that, they won't look at your next one. So I think short, quick, to the point, and don't try and cover too many things in the one video. Now, obviously, then there's other different, LinkedIn, I could watch a 15, 20-minute video. This video, podcast will be 25 minutes or whatever, and we all hope
Mm-hmm.
people will watch it because it's different, okay? Um, but if it's going out blind as a marketing piece, I think short, to the point, and make sure that not only does that video have an impact, but the person will want to watch your next video.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, what you are trying to explain, I think, a bit is when it's short, it has to be infotainment type of content. It has to
Absolutely. Perfect.
inform
Right.
or entertain, right?
Absolutely.
Whereas when you are in a long version of video, you can then only inform and maybe not entertain so much because people are there maybe more to learn than to just get entertained, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Good. So I will have only one last question for you today, and that is because I love to consume content, of course, both online but also offline. And for me, offline are reading books. So, which book would you recommend our audience to read, or a book that has impacted you?
Okay. The book that I believe everything we've talked about, and whether you're a marketeer or whatever type of business you're in, it's sales. We're trying to sell something. You
Mm-hmm.
know, whether we're trying to sell a product, a service, ourselves, we're all in sales.
Mm-hmm.
And I have attended and has been a sales manager and been a salesperson for many years for some very large organizations, and have attended hundreds of sales courses and trained loads and loads of salespeople. The best book I ever read, which wasn't a sales book, it
Mm-hmm.
was called Never Split the Difference. Okay. And it was written by Chris Voss, who was a former FBI negotiation agent. And he
Mm-hmm.
wrote this about negotiating, basically, and from his experience in hostage negotiation. And he went on and he trained people in business how to negotiate. And I have told all my children and anybody who I've ever been involved in, if you want to really understand sales, this is not your bit going in and doing a presentation or doing, this is how to make sure that it's a win-win for both parties. That yes, you get the order, but that the customer gets what they're looking for. And as he would say in the book, if it's not a win-win for both parties in a hostage negotiation, somebody ends up dead, unfortunately. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and this book really tells it in a very informative way, very educational way, but also with some great fun stories.
Yeah, I love that. I read this book earlier this week, and I cannot recommend it enough.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Earlier this year, sorry, not this
Okay,
week,
that's
but
okay.
yeah, I loved it. And I think my biggest learning from that book was that no is just the beginning of a negotiation, it's never the
Absolutely.
end.
Yeah.
So that
Another.
is very great.
Can I give you one more book, Monica? Because
Yeah, for sure.
one more book, which again is not, it's the message you get from it, but in business, in life, there's a journey, and we have challenges on that journey, lots of different challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And I have had my fair share of challenges over the last 30 years of my journey. The book Born to Run,
Mm-hmm.
again, you may not be a runner. It's about a guy who runs and runs, barefooted and long distances and endurance. And again, it's as a movie, you couldn't pull yourself away from it, um,
Mm-hmm.
because it tells the story apart from the running. But it demonstrates in the Born to Run that how you can adapt and adjust. I mean, during the pandemic, I talked about the three A's: adapt, adjust, and then attack. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and in this book as well, he talks about adapting, adjusting, and then attacking whatever challenge he had to do. So I can't think of the author right now, but it's Born to Run, and it's a really great read. And not even if you're not interested in running, and if you are thinking of doing getting into running, it will definitely
Mm-hmm.
motivate you to get into it.
Sure, yeah, I'll check that out. I am a runner, so I run
Okay,
some marathons, so for sure I will enjoy that read. I'll check
we
that
have
out.
something else in common then. Yes, I too have done many marathons.
Many, I'm not, I just done one and two half, but yes,
Okay.
so kind
Okay.
of a beginner there.
I've done 15 full marathons, and
Oh
I'm
wow.
not sure I'd be able to do another one because that's the other thing I did badly during the pandemic. I ran too much.
Hmm.
So my knees are not too good now.
Yeah, I actually started during the pandemic because gyms were closed, so
Yeah,
I
very good.
went to that. Perfect. So thank you very much for hopping onto this call today, and go on to have a very lovely day, Patrick.
Thank you, Monica, and thanks for taking the time to talk to me.
Sure.